Hello, on Scotty. We're playing the game Montgomery Fox and the Case of the Diamond Necklace. The game is also available in Dutch. Montgomery Fox Private Investigation. The fan in my office was spinning in vain. The last few weeks in the city has become so hot that even my friends on the other side of the law have slipped into the shade. There's no job for a detective of my rank. It's getting boring. And then a refreshments gentleman from the Toad and Toad insurance company entered my office like a cold breeze, sweating partly because of the heat, partly because of their troubles that befell them. They explained to me what it was all about. A very valuable necklace was stolen from Lord Raccoon of the Hisar County. Police were unable to find the thief. Toad and Toad is facing bankruptcy because it has to pay a huge sum to Lord Raccoon. They came to me to investigate the case once more. Gentlemen, I said, the sight of you is like a is better than a glass of ice cold lemonade. I accept the case. Soon I was sitting in the train compartment by the open window. A couple of days in the countryside will be great for me. I will rest more than I will work, because after all, I don't expect some mystery around the necklace. That's how I arrived in the Hisar district. Lord Raccoon. What can I say? Lord Raccoon is exactly as I imagined him. Arrogant and of course rich. He was very angry with the police for not catching the thieves, but I didn't see him in any sort of concern about the robbery. He bragged about his big house and stables, but when I asked to see the horses, he told me it was impossible because they were in the fields grazing as far as I know. Horses are given food in the stables. He probably thinks I'm so below his level that I shouldn't even get close to the horses. What a smug. Doesn't matter. I'm here for the missing necklace, not the horses. Still, I try to visit the villa one more time when he's not around. Foxy Margaret. She was sitting in a wheelchair with a blanket over her legs and a bunch of her herbs around her. She had heard of the robbery, of course, but had seen nothing. She used to work for Lord Raccoon as a cook, but she had to resign due to problems with her legs. She can't get up even. Poor Raccoon, to be robbed in this way. It seems to me that she speaks of the Lord more intimately than the servants should. I also noticed that her well was out of order. She explained to me that suddenly a stench began to spread from it and that the water turned greenish, and indeed an unpleasant odor spread around the well. Still, I will have to leave the well and concentrate on the robbery. Nikolai Fyodorovich, a large and good-natured guy, big as a mountain, and he said city boss would take him as a bodyguard. Yet he is the complete opposite. He lives peacefully, keeps bees, and produces honey. He does not know Lord Raccoon. He says they came from the villa for honey and pay fairly. However, in recent months they have stopped visiting. He heard a guy appeared at the market selling various goods. Maybe Lord Raccoon is buying honey from him now. Nikolai heard about the robbery, but is not interested in it at all. He offered me to stay with him for a cup of honey. I declined, of course. There's no time to waste. Zachary McFarlane. I know this guy better than I would. Like indulgent beyond measure. A swindler. When I asked him about the robbery, he almost cried over the bitter fate of their beloved Lord Raccoon. Still, Mr. McFarland saw someone, a figure shrouded in black running across a nearby glade on the night of the robbery. He ran after it, but it was too late. But at the place where the figure disappeared in the dark, he found this feather. When I asked him if he had told the police all of that, he replied that the police didn't want to deal with colorful feathers in a forest full of colorful birds, and that they were right still. I kept the feather because I don't have a better clue for now. Master Zhou. I wonder what is a kung fu master looking for in a place like this. I wasn't sure whether to bow to him or perform a kung fu move, of which to be honest I don't know any. And before I asked him anything he just said, a wise man does not seek happiness among kings and queens. And then he went on to meditate. That's all I needed. More puzzles. Magnus Nordvik. Here is Nikolai's competition, a real swindler and obviously not from these parts. He says he has no idea what that bear is talking about. He had never sold honey and he had only heard of Lord Raccoon. His business was selling safes, but retired from the business and now wants to spend his day in peace and quiet. He sells something here and there because he has to make a living off of something. He advised me to try and avoid dealing with too many peasants. There is nothing to learn from them. I better go to the witch who lives at the other end of the forest. She will surely know something, crystal balls and stuff like that. A witch? This guy must think I'm a fool. Even children no longer believe in witches. Leopold Denker. Unprofessional behavior. Shame. I was his faithful groom for years and then, without notice, fired. He didn't even let me say goodbye to the horses. Poor things. He deserved to be robbed. When someone tells you all this in one breath, you must conclude that Mr. Denker does not like Lord Raccoon very much. To be blunt, I think he hates him. But does he hate him enough to take revenge by stealing his necklace? Sam Dixon. Apart from some good entertainment in his park, this gentleman doesn't have much to offer. He speaks in a confusing way about the inhabitants of Hisar, how Nikolai and Foxy are in fact old friends, how Lord Raccoon receives visits from some strange characters that stay long at night, how the witch really exists, and how can you imagine she casts spells. This fellow was funny to me. Magic, on the other hand, his eyes were sincere. What if he's not lying? What if the witch really does exist, and what if Lord Raccoon is really involved in some suspicious acts? Davy Waslow. The deeper into this forest I go, the weirder the characters become. It's not strange that someone collects mushrooms, but that his whole life revolves around mushrooms, that he even made a head out of them, is definitely strange. Like the Mad Hatter. I learned absolutely nothing from him since the man is obsessed with his mushrooms and has absolutely no idea what is going on around him. The robbery, Lord Raccoon, the necklace, it was as if I had asked him what was new on Mars. I'm moving on. Magnolia Thornheart. So the witch really does exist. To be honest, I was horrified there's something in her eyes as if she knows everything. Montgomery, pull yourself together. Don't fall for her tricks. All she said to me was, don't believe everything you hear, and do you want me to look at the crystal ball for you? Of course, the old hag is a classic cheater. However, two things caught my attention. First, she is dressed in black, and second, she has the same feather in her head as the one Mr. McFarlane found. Is she really a thief? If so, where did she hide the necklace? And why hadn't she run away with so much money yet it is still squatting in the darkness? I was wrong. This case is becoming more interesting, very interesting indeed. Things got complicated. Lord Raccoon went away somewhere and visited the villa. Here's what I saw. Half the furniture is missing. Places where the pictures hung only gaps remains. Spiders live on the shelves meant for silverware, and perhaps most importantly, the stables are empty. There's not a single horse in them. I doubt that all this was taken away by the thieves. After all, Raccoon didn't say a word about it. But here's why he didn't let me see the horses. He doesn't have any. It's time to talk to Mrs. Margaret again. When he asked her about Lord Raccoon horses, the furniture, the paintings, she just looked at me from above and said, you city people, you plain people, if you knew a little more about the aristocracy, you would know that once every year the furniture is taken for repair, silverware for cleaning, and paintings to auctions. Horses often go to show, but you don't know that. So you allow yourself to be cheeky and ask silly questions. I swallowed all this without any anger, and I couldn't even be angry because as she was saying all this, Mrs. Margaret, in effect, jumped out of a wheelchair and stood very safely on her legs. I expressed my delight at seeing that her legs got better, to which she quickly nodded, but though the pain, and sat down. Mrs. Margaret is lying. She lies a lot, but why? I asked Nikolai about his friendship with Foxy. He was surprised, but he told me this. We were friends. I wanted for the two of us to be more than that. And then, little by little, she changed. She started visiting me less often, and when she came, she talked more and more about Lord Raccoon, Raccoon this, Raccoon that. She even got a precious brooch from him as a gift. Damn Raccoon. I wish they had never met. I hate him. For God's sake, Nikolai, you didn't rob Lord Raccoon out of revenge, did you? I said to myself as I left this house. In any case, the number of those who do not like Lord Raccoon is growing. Did you arrest her? Zachary jumped at me when he opened the door. There was a smile full of anticipation on his face. I didn't arrest anyone, but I'm pretty sure I know who did it. I set a small trap for him. What? Who? Well, that figure in black you saw running away and the feather you face looks like that our thief. That's our thief, but please don't tell anyone about this. Zachary fell for the bluff. A triumph appeared on his face that he could not hide. So he's the one who was framing the witch, but I still can't be sure if it has anything to do with the necklace robbery. What a case. Lots of suspects and no clues. I like South tea. I really enjoyed it. The old master told me about the slopes of green tea plantations on the rolling hills of his beloved China. He told me about what sunsets are like over the eastern sea, how the winds sing the most wonderful songs in the bamboo forest, and similar nonsense. I resisted a little and thanked the old man. At the farewell, he also told me this. It is not always wrong to connect a stone and a heart. I guess not, silly old man, but I have a much more serious job ahead of me than that. He said a trap for Magnus too. He was the first to mention a witch. Anyway, he seems cool as I told him that she was almost certainly the thief. Still, there was some relief in his voice. I believe that as a safe salesman, he also learned to open them, so he gained a dose of calm and self-discipline. However, he was definitely much more relaxed when he found out I suspected the witch. I asked him if he knew one Zachary McFarlane, to which he replied with the face of a poker player. Never heard of him. My dear fellow, I too can recognize a bluff when I see one. You're a liar as well. The witch, nonsense, an old rag that was has no other business but to deceive the people. By now that work necklace is adorning a neck of the same lady who knows where. You better ask Lord Raccoon about who comes to him in the late hours, the three of them, wrapped in black, believing that no one would see them. Well, I saw them. They come twice a week, always a certain time. They don't leave the house until the morning, when everyone is asleep. But I, Leopold, doesn't sleep. Sees everything. There you go now. The Lord has some suspicious companions. Define definitely. But what can that have to do with the robbery? Maybe simply a man likes a late company. Robbery! I've been robbed! Shouted the mushroom man as soon as he saw me. He says his bottle of green mushroom potion was stolen. A very dangerous and strong potion. It can poison the whole of his sari. And when he asked him when it happened, he said he didn't know. The safe containing the potions were properly locked when he opened it this morning. Prior to that, he had not opened it for at least 2 months. That safe of his is one of the highest quality and simply cannot be cracked. Someone did it, though. I must not rush to conclusions, but I think the fog around this case is slowly starting to lift. The witch wasn't in her hut. I looked around and found a book of witchcraft. In fact, they are simply chemical experiments that the old Rex sold as magic. One of the research caught my attention. To ward off evil spirits, soak a sponge in green mushroom juice and put it in a cool place. After just one night, the stench will drive away all those who hang around your house and don't wish you well. I knew one place where it stinks, but if I'm right, I can't go there right away. Leopold, you are someone who knows the villa well. Is there a secret room, somewhere where Lord Raccoon could host his secret guest? There's no secret room. They meet in his study. It's in the West Tower. I thanked him and hurried straight to the villa. Lord Raccoon indifferently asked me how the investigation was progressing. I told him a story about a witch and a colorful feather and then asked him if I could use the restroom. Unwillingly, he allowed me to enter the villa once more. Silently, I climbed into the West Tower, and when I opened the door of Raccoon's study, everything became clear to me. Now all I had to do was set a trap for the thieves. I told Davy about the recipe I found in the witch hut. He told me she could be anything but a witch, a woman who doesn't belong here, so she hides behind a witch mask. At least no one bothers her or asks her questions. He told me to visit her again, but to say the password this time. When I said the password, Magnolia greeted me as if I were a grandson, a cup of warm milk, a biscuit, a soft armchair, and then she told me, "You don't see what's obvious, young man, and you don't listen to who you need to listen to. Trust the experience, trust the tradition." Experience and tradition. One guy here fits that description very well. And did you finally understand what I was telling you? Joe asked me as he poured the tea. Finally I did it. To seek happiness among kings and queens, to unite stone and heart, everything fits. Master Zoe was pleased, and so was I. Nikolai, I need your help. Please make Mrs. Margaret stay at home this afternoon. It will be different for you, but trust me, you'll get rid of a great emotional burden. Nikolai shrugged first and then straightened up in all his grandeur and said briefly, "You can bet on that." Sir, this is very important. The only phone in the woods is at Zachary's house, but it doesn't work. I don't think it's a coincidence. Can I trust you to go to the nearby town and call the police? I'm very close to solving this case. Don't worry, sir. My former trapeze artist friend works as a police sergeant. Just tell me where the police is to show up. Sir, the case is closed. I caught the thief. He didn't admit anything, but everything is so obvious. Finally, exclaimed the salesman. Relief appeared on his face. Please be outside Mrs. Margaret's house this afternoon as a witness. Can you do that for me? With pleasure, he replied. The pleasure will be mine, I said to myself. You have caught the thief? Tell me you caught him. I did, I replied to Mr. McFarlane. Please be so kind as to be in front of Foxy House as a witness this afternoon. If you can bring Lord Raccoon with you, I'm sure you recognize the thief. There was no end to Zachary's happiness, but his case has come to an end. However, from the beginning, the clue presented themselves in plain sight. They just needed to be put together. The Hussar newsletter. Lord Raccoon, after bankrupting due to gambling debts, tried to defraud the insurance company and stole a valuable necklace from himself. He was helped in this by his poker partners to whom he owed money. Mr. Norfolk stole poisonous mushrooms. Mr. Zachary McFarlane and Mrs. Foxy Margaret hid the necklace in the well. This cunning foursome would surely have gotten away with the crime if it weren't for the great Mr. Fox, who solved the case and exposed the gang. What also was telling me about don't search happiness among kings and queens is possible to connect heart and stone. Of course it makes sense. Gambling is a great evil. We need to stay away from it. Mr. Fox, Montgomery Fox? Yes, that's me. And telegram for you. Montgomery, come back immediately. Stop. We need you. Stop. The lazy dog is back in action. Stop. Chief of Police Arthur Wilson. And a quick brown fox will stop him. And that was the game Montgomery Fox and the case of the diamond necklace. Some of the parts were of course sped up because otherwise it takes too long. Thank you all for watching. Wish you all well. Like, comment, subscribe and follow me and see you in the next video.